Hello, this is Susan Kelmer. So we're coming up towards the end of the things that we need to do in this particular document, and there's one more part of this document that needs to be taken care of. And this would be video number 7 in our series. So if you've not watched videos 1 through 6, I do highly recommend that you stop watching this video and head on back and watch sections 1 through 6 first, and then hit this one. So in this document, I'm looking at the original PDF, and we've been working on this document throughout the entire series of turning a PDF into a well-formatted Microsoft Word file. And so I have already taken care of the page numbering, the footnotes, the heading levels, checking for spelling, putting words back together if they were separated from one page to the next, etc. So I've done all of that work, but I'm not done yet. There's still a few things going on in this document that we need to take a look at. So one of them is this sort of boxed text or pull out information. Sometimes this information might be on the side. Generally it's in the middle, and it's some sort of explanatory thing or illustratory thing that the student needs to read, but it does disrupt the flow of the reading, especially if the student doesn't know what it is. So when we look at Microsoft Word document, we do have some clues. Obviously we have our heading levels and etc. But when we come upon one of these sort of pieces of boxed text, they just sort of pop in the middle. Sometimes they actually break up a paragraph, or maybe a paragraph doesn't end on one page, and when you go to the next page, there's this sort of boxed text right at the top before it continues the paragraph below. We actually have that in this document at least once. So I need to mark these in some way that tells the student who's listening to it that there's something else going on here. Now this file that I'm creating is being created for a student using a text-to-speech engine, not necessarily a screen reader, but could be a screen reader. And so if we format this document properly, it'll work for both of those populations. So I'm going to go back and look at my Adobe file here, and here's our little piece of boxed text, and I found it in my document, and it is right here. And so what I need to do is first tell the student, hey, we're doing something different. Visually, for a student who's just using a text-to-speech reader, they're trying to look at this, this will still give them the idea that something is different here, even though it's all in text format. I could format this bit of information differently so it would look different, maybe put a line ahead of it and a line after it, but that won't help the person who's using the screen reader. So what I want to do is denote that this is something special. So I've added a line in here, and I'm going to use my brackets, and I'm just going to tell the student, hey, we're going to begin some boxed text. That's the phrase I use. You could have your own phrase. This is best practice to have this text there or something like it. You can also preface this with alternate format note. That helps as well. I just do begin box text for mine most of the time. And then I've got what was a title, if I look at my original here, is sort of a title of what's going on in this box text, and then the actual text, and then a reference. So let me go back over here and look at my Word file. So this, I could bold it, or italicize it, or underline it, something like that. It just makes it stand out a little bit. The student using a screen reader will not hear that sort of formatting unless they've turned on those functions in their screen reader. But for the visual student, this is kind of important. It gives them an idea this is something a little bit different. So in this case, it's a title. I tend to bold it. You could use any of those things. Bolding, italicizing, or underlining would provide the same sort of clue to the student. So then this is the text of that little pull out or that little box text, and then this is the reference for it. So we know that this is the end of this box text. So as you can imagine, we need to say that as well. So now we've told them this is the end of the boxed text. I'm going to scroll through. I know I have this in several other places, and some of these look really wonky. and I want to point those out to you. So I'm going to go back here real quick and look at my original document, because this is our next set here on page 5 to page 6. So let's take a look at our original PDF, and here it is. So if I'm looking at this file, I can see that this paragraph doesn't actually end here. It breaks, and then it goes to the next page, and right at the top is this boxed text. Well, where's the rest of this paragraph? It's down here. And so this would be extremely disruptive if we were going to read it from page 5 to page 6. There is no way this is going to work for the student. So what I first want to do is to put the paragraph together. But I'm not going to put it together on page 5. It does carry over to page 6. I'm just going to move it from where it is on page 6 to the very top of the page, then do the boxed text, and then pick up again right after that. So over in our Word document, there's the break in the paragraph there, and I'm going to look for the other part of the paragraph, and there it is right here. So I'm going to select this text, including its hard return at the end, and I'm going to just drag it up to where it goes. Now you could copy and paste it and then delete the original. So now our paragraph reads the way it should, are properly cited and conform to court rules, etc. So here's our box text. So here we want to again tell our reader what's going on here. And I'm going to bold this title. Now I want to go take a look, because this looks a little odd here. In the Word format, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. So I'm going to go over to my PDF again and take a look. So what we have is text, 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 text. And it ends at this: as a judge, aren't you likely to say to yourself. So now I know what I'm looking for. Go back to my Word file. This is the end of it. So end boxed text. Now, is anything different about this that I need to note? Potentially. In the original, this is indented. And I have a macro that I use to do indenting, but there's something also called block text that will do the same thing. It's style. So I could apply either the box text to this particular paragraph, and it is, you have to kind of dig for it, it's up here. I just use my macro to do that and put that in place. So I'm going to use my macro, which indents this paragraph just a little. This means nothing to a student using a screen reader, but to a student who's visually looking at this while listening to it, it does make a difference. So we have all of that information there. We show beginning of the box text and the end of the box text. We put that paragraph back together, so it's not split up with the box text in the middle. And now there are others in this particular document. If I look back at my original, this one also looks a little unusual in the text version. So let's take a look at this one next. This will be our last one for this video. And I have too much space here. I'm going to fix that. Okay. So here is boxed text here. Again, our paragraph is kind of cut off there, so we want to pull our paragraph back up. And this is the part of the paragraph that got split apart. I'm going to add my, and I'm going to bold this title. And I might do this in italics, or I might not. I think for the sighted student, this might look a little better if it wasn't just all caps in plain text. You can also drop this to regular case, which would help the problem as well. So now we go down to the end of hers. If I'm not sure, you can always look, and we can see it's right after oral arguments. So we know which part of her statement we're going to end the box text at. And there we have it. And this was also indented. So again, I'm going to use my little hotkey to do that, but you can use the block text up in the styles if you'd like. So now we're back to kind of our regular formatting. So hopefully this makes sense. We do need to tell a student when something is different. Visually and orally, we need to tell them something is different, and then we need to format it differently. We would not use heading levels for these titles because they are not heading levels. They are not heading distinctions within this document. They are just some side text. Students could potentially skip this, and sometimes they do. They won't read it. They just skip right through it. So that explains a little bit about how we handle unusual text, pull-out text, or box text that appears in the middle of a document. Thank you for watching.